So for this week's project, I'm going to be upgrading watering systems and re-tarping one of my Siskovich chicken tractors to, I don't know, kind of bring them up to more functionality and currency. So I've tried a variety of things over the years. I've kind of, over 6 years now, 7 years I think, raising chickens this way. I've figured out what works best. And what we shouldn't be doing. So we're gonna kind of upgrade everything and get rid of some of this antiquated equipment. So we're gonna re-tarp this guy. As you can see, this tarp is shot. These tarps aren't UV stabilized or anything. I just get cheap tarps off Amazon, but I still get a good 3-4 years out of them before they look like this. And then this watering system is another one of those cup style ones. You can see it down in there. They're junk, high failure rate, waste of a good bucket. So I am going to replace that and go to a different style, which I'll show you right now. So we've got a new tarp on. Good for another 2-3 years at least. I simply just zip tie it at all the grommets. It's 10 by 14, fits perfectly on these tarps, or on these tractors. I found it's better not to go all the way to the bottom. So we leave a little gap down there that allows air to flow through, because I only raise birds in the summertime and it gets pretty hot. The white helps to reflect a lot of the sunlight, but you want it to be as breezy as possible. The birds ain't worried about a little rain getting in there. So that's it. Zip tie around the edge and you're good to go. What's up, Kronk? Did you lose your balls? Let me help you out here. Kronk likes to roll basketballs around, but they don't last long, as you can see. He beats them up pretty good, but he likes to push around flattened balls just like inflated ones, huh? Isn't that right, buddy? Got some nice tusks there. Yeah, you're a good-looking pig. Yeah, go get your ball. So like I've said in previous videos, we're gonna, improve our watering enormously. We're going to have labor savings, cost savings, and most importantly, no equipment failures where your chickens are out there on a hot July day with no water. So I like these buckets here with the flat side. It allows them to sit up against the back of the chicken tractor. We will plumb in to the face of it here using one of these bung adapters. And it's got the barbed end on there that you'll push your rubber tubing onto. It'll sit like that, and then each one of those is going to be plumbed in to one of those 3 right there, and they'll hang on the inside of the chicken tractor. Whole setup is maybe $60, maybe. It's worth every bit of $60. So let's get them built. It only takes a couple minutes each. If you shop around on Amazon, you'll find these buckets for like 13 bucks a piece. So you got to shop around. They do take a little longer to ship that way, but that's okay. You just got to plan ahead. And you got to make sure you seat the little rubber gasket here down against the bolt head so that when you push it through, obviously it'll seat properly. And then let's see what drill bit we're going to use here. Looks like we're going to go with a 1/2 inch. Make the hole as low on the bucket as possible to where you can still tighten up the bung. Obviously, you don't want to drill right into the corner of the bucket, right? You need to come up a little, but the higher you come up, the less water you're going to have available to the chickens. So I'm about a 1/2 inch off the bottom of the bucket, but past the curve. I'm going slow so I don't crack the bucket. Then you got to take a utility knife and clean up around the hole you drilled so that everything sits flush. In the absence of a utility knife, you can just use a safety razor blade. You kind of trim off that little plastic burr. So it's nice and flat, and then do it on the inside too. Then you press it through from the inside. Put it on your nut. Rubber gasket goes on the inside. And then you just snug it up with a couple wrenches. Doesn't need to be super tight, you just need to compress that gasket. And then I'm going to connect the rubber hose to the waterer, and then I'll feed it through the chicken tractor, and then I'll put a clamp on the bucket. And I just need to do that for 2 more buckets. That one came pretty clean. So I've already assembled these. All it is a weight with a little wing nut, a long bolt. You drop it in, this piece threads to here, and that's it. It takes about 10 seconds. These are from Premier One. Normally all their stuff is very high quality. And then it hangs like so inside the tractor. I tie this piece off on the cross beam. But while I'm here, we'll get our lengths of rubber hose onto here, and then we'll tighten up one side and leave the other side for up in the field. I'll leave myself a little bit of slack so I can cut off and throw away any excess. It's better to be too long than too short. You just use these little worm drive pipe clamps or tubing clamps. Get a little wet. That goes right on there. The nut driver only takes it so far because it's a little bit bigger than the nut. These are metric, I guess, and I only have standard, so flat screwdriver will give it the rest of the way. You certainly don't want it leaking. Although if it were to leak here, it wouldn't be a huge problem. It would just run down and give your chickens water anyway, right? So not a big deal leaking here. Much bigger deal on the bucket itself. That's enough slack. Just cut it with some scissors and boom, that one's ready to go. And we just do that 2 more times. And then I'll throw another clamp for the bucket in there. That way everything's set up when I get up to the hill. Once you get into a rhythm, it just takes a couple minutes to do each one of these. But the time they'll save you is enormous. And the peace of mind that your chickens have a reliable water source on hot days. And that's that. Now we head up the hill and install them. So we're going to move these guys first. That way when I'm installing the waterers, I'm not walking in all kinds of chicken poop. So they'll move forward and then we'll get it done. Alright, chickens, let's go for a walk. As you can see, it doesn't take long at all to move them. Chores for the chicken tractors is pretty quick. Now let's install these waterers. I'm about to take a risk here. I've got both Jasper, who's a busybody and will be very interested in what we're doing, and so that I can get a good shot, I'm going to leave this door open, so hopefully all those guys don't escape. We shall see. You guys going to be good? Easy. So what we're going to do is tie this string off on the top here. Nothing fancy, no special knot or anything, just so it'll hold. It'll hang there, and then we'll feed the hose through the metal near the bucket. That's it for the inside work. Excuse me, chickens. Excuse me. No, no, no. Thank you. Now we just hook up the bucket on the back. Huh, Jasper's peeing. That's alright. Donkey's got to do that sometimes. Isn't that right, Jasper? Just put the bucket here. One more line on. Make sure we can get at the clamp. Get on there good. Need my screwdriver. You want to make sure this one's good and tight. This is the one you don't want leaking. Probably have a little too much hose there, but I can always trim that up later. That's it. Put water in there. Your chicken's got something to drink. It's hooked up. I made a couple adjustments. I didn't like the way that this little backboard was blocking like an easy path for the hose. So I took the board off. I shortened the hose. There's a lot less slack in there now. Certainly nothing the chickens are going to try and roost on or anything. And now the bucket sits nicely flush against the back of the tractor. Similar setup here. See very little slack in the hose, but enough to allow for that thing to swing when I move the tractor without, ripping anything apart. And that's that. So now I fill all the water from the outside. The chickens are already figuring it out. That takes about 2 milliseconds. And the tractors are better. So great improvement. Now we got to go do tarps.